Now, the Pan African Congress President Mzwanele Nyhontso has submitted an application to the National Prosecuting Authority to open an inquest into the death of Robert Sobukwe. Sobukwe lost his life in Kimberely on the 27th of February 1978 at the age of 53 years. His death was officially attributed to lung cancer and complications. Sobukwe founded the Pan Africanist Congress in 1958 after breaking away from the ANC. For more about the inquest, let's chat to PAC President Mzwanele Nyhontso. So good to have you. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Morning to you, Leon and Sakina. Morning to your viewers, and thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure and an important topic to be discussing. Now, you submitted an application with the NPA to open a judicial inquest to investigate the circumstances surrounding the death of the PAC founding president. And I suppose one can call him the ideological North Star, Robert Mangaliso. Now, Sobukwe, what is the motivation for bringing this matter up as well?
Firstly, let me say it's Pan Africanist Congress of Tanzania, not Pan African Congress. And secondly, once more, thanks for having us. Leon, we have decided to launch this application with the NPA because, as you know, almost all leaders of the PAC before us have been calling for justice for Sobukwe, because Sobukwe was killed by cancer, or by so-called cancer, in 1978. And the cancer was diagnosed in 1977, a year before he was killed. And of course, in the TRC process, Mama Sobukwe, the late Mama Veronica Sobukwe, testified that Sobukwe told her that he was given food with pieces of glasses. And TRC did not make a follow-up on that. And we also know from the archives that the defense lawyers, during the Bethel trial, one of the accused there was the second president of the PAC, Joseph Motopeng. And his lawyer also said the same thing, that Sobukwe was given food with pieces of glasses. Sure. Now, we have written and we have made this application because we want the TRC to complete their work, because this is also coming from TRC processes. We have made this application. Already we have been allocated a reference number. We're hoping to be allocated an investigator not later than today or Monday. And we're hoping that the process will start. And we also want in that investigation to include the voice recordings of Sobukwe, the video recordings of Sobukwe, the court recordings of Sobukwe, because we know that between 1958 and 1960, Sobukwe was the most recorded, the most interviewed, the most feared political leader in this country. So it does not make sense to us that today we are told that Sobukwe's voice could not be found. And we also believe that there are somewhere there at SABC, maybe after this interview, you will also go straight to your archives and look for Sobukwe's voice recordings there. Because there must be somewhere. We also want his dockets to be declassified. Now, it's almost close to 50 years so that Sobukwe is no longer with us. But we want his dockets to be declassified. We want to know what happened. We want justice for Sobukwe as a human being. We want justice for Sobukwe, for the family to find closure. We want justice for the PAC. We also want justice for African people. This application is not for us, it is also for African people, because Sobukwe was the leader of the African people.
So I want to take us just a little bit of a step backwards, because you mentioned the TRC and Sobukwe's family and the PAC called for an investigation into his death during the TRC hearings in the 90s. Did the TRC probe the allegations? What did they do?
They did not. We believe that TRC focused more on what the treatment of Sobukwe did to his family. They did not focus on what killed Sobukwe. And this is what we want now to happen. They must focus on what what really killed Sobukwe. You must also remember, Leanne, that Mama Sobukwe also said, and this is a fact, that at some point Sobukwe was operated without the knowledge of the family, the knowledge of everyone. And before Sobukwe was released in 1969, he disappeared for 3 weeks and nobody knows where he was. And also, after Sobukwe was released, offers were made by people as far as United States for him to go there and receive treatment.
Yeah.
And the regime of the time refused. And we want to know, what is it that they were hiding? What is it that they do not want to be seen? We don't believe that Sobukwe was killed by cancer. We believe that Sobukwe was assassinated. We believe that Sobukwe's death was injected for almost 18 years. We also believe that, remember, there was these voter basons of this world who were injecting diseases like HIV, AIDS to activists. Now, we believe that this cancer of Sobukwe was also injected to him. He only passed away at the age of 53. And you must also know that the white people, whether it's Fairfoot or Foster, they said they will make sure that they keep Sobukwe in jail till this side of eternity.
Yeah.
So we want truth to come out. We want closure for Sobukwe. We want justice for Sobukwe. We want to see Sobukwe's voice recordings.
So,
we want everything. So,
let's talk a little bit about your beliefs, because I mean, you've spoken extensively about what you're thinking in terms of the injections and the poisoning. But let's go back to the time when he was incarcerated on Robben Island. That's also one of the places where you truly believe that this poisoning took place. Is there evidence? Is there more that you have, perhaps to substantiate this, that could help this case?
As I've said, Sobukwe himself told Mama Sobukwe that he found pieces of glasses in his food.
Okay.
And you must also remember that Sobukwe on Robben Island, he was kept away from all other people for 6 years, not talking to anyone. That alone was a torture. And we also know that where he was kept was only guarded by dogs and warders. We also know that even to date, the tourists and everyone who are going to Robben Island, if they don't ask to see Sobukwe House, nobody is taking them there. And we believe that Sobukwe is still suppressed. Sobukwe is still persecuted, even in death. So there is a compelling case for the NPA to start this investigation. And by the way, they are cooperating very well. That's why already they have allocated a reference number. And on the other side, we are briefing our lawyers so that this case is taken serious and as speedily as it can.
Yeah. We look at this and we understand, obviously, you being the Pan Africanist Congress president, this is something that we need to get answers to. And I suppose as your role, how are you going to set this inquest into motion and ensure that this process goes ahead?
That we have already applied, that we have already received a response from NPA, that we are already briefing our lawyers, that we have already informed the family. I think the motion is starting already.
Good.
We're
Okay.
waiting for them to allocate an investigator, and from there it's going to be the system scope.
And no doubt you will sit on that as the leader. Now, let's talk a bit more about the legacy. What was it about Sobukwe that the government saw in him and saw him as even more dangerous to the apartheid state than other African leaders? What was it?
I mean, the man with a defined sense of mission. The man who, right alone, changed everything in the course of history in this country. The man who did not only lead the anti-pass campaign in 1960, Sharpeville, Langa, Orlando, Van der Bijl Park, but the man who just spoke one word and the masses followed. The man who told everybody that passbooks must be left at home, and then everybody did. The man, in fact, by his own mouth, Foster said he has a defined sense of mission. He has a magnetic personality. When he spoke, everybody would listen. Remember, it's only Sobukwe who changed everything in this country, from protest to revolution. It's only Sobukwe who today caused this country to go for real revolution and for all political parties in South Africa, or liberation movements, to be banned. And the impact he had, in fact, as you are flighting books for Sobukwe, all the authors, everybody agrees that had it not been for Sobukwe, today we would not be enjoying what we enjoy today as a country. He was one of a kind, and as his name suggests, his name was Mangaliso, a wonder. And people like him come but once in a lifetime.
Yeah, certainly. And let me just leave it with this final question too. I mean, as a country, we continue to grapple with a very complex history and ongoing social and economic challenges. Very quickly, how does Dr. Sobukwe's legacy offer insights or guidance for the country's ongoing journey towards this reconciliation and healing that we so desperately look for?
Sobukwe, as this leadership of the PAC, ever since we came to power, we've adopted a theme that says, let us be like Sobukwe. We believe that if we can, all of us, we would be or we could be like Sobukwe, things would not be as they are. Remember, Sobukwe is the first person to come with a term called non-racialism as early as 1958, when people were even telling him that, no, this thing does not even appear in the Oxford Dictionary. Sobukwe said, we are all human beings. We belong to one race, the human race. Sobukwe said he does not belong, we do not subscribe to multiracialism, because Sobukwe saw it, that if we want a country, a united country, as you are saying it, we must first treat each other as human beings, not because of the color of our skin. It's Sobukwe himself who said, color counts for nothing. It's Sobukwe himself who said, we must first and foremost be loyal to Africa and Africa alone. It's Sobukwe himself who said, if we can subscribe to Pan Africanism, which is nothing else but the unification of Africa, Africa can be a giant, or what Kwame Nkrumah called the monolithic state of Africa, where the world can even look at us. And had we followed all of us Sobukwe's teachings, today we would not be struggling with things that we're struggling with today: disunited country, corruption, and all other things, you name it.
We leave it there. Thank you. Thank you so much for talking to us about this. Mzwanele Nyhontso, who is the Pan Africanist Congress president, speaking to us about an inquest into the death of Robert Sobukwe. We thank you so much for your time. So obviously this has already been submitted. They do have a case number, so this is something that is going to go ahead, and it should be interesting to see what comes out of it. So it was wonderful speaking to the PAC president about this one.